Welcome to Heroes Rising, hosted by Sifu Rafael, a master instructor, public speaker, and the founder of Speaking Prowess. Known for his expertise in empowering individuals through the art of communication and leadership. Alongside him is co-host Jose Escobar, an acclaimed personal development speaker, 18-time published author, and founder of 2 thriving businesses, including the Connected Leaders Academy. Together, they bring you dynamic conversations with world-class entrepreneurs, industry icons, and visionaries. Heroes Rising is your go-to source for wisdom, motivation, and unstoppable growth. Join us and discover the hero within you.
There I am. Woo! Happy Friday, everybody. Congratulations, you've made it this far, and the week is almost over, but don't let it be a weekend. Let's make it strong. And I have 2 powerful, I'm talking powerful and incredible women who I'm going to bring on. I think they're walking down the hallway. I think I hear them. Yes, here they come, and let's bring them on. Jodi and Jaclyn, ladies, welcome to Heroes Rising. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. Woo!
Love it, love it, love it. So 2 incredible things we want to talk about. I'm not sure where my co-host Jose is. I hope everything's okay. I always send well wishes when somebody does not show up, and hopefully he will be able to. The topic today is the power of voice and success. I got to say, Jodi knows voice. Jaclyn knows voice. I know voice, but Jodi does it professionally. Go ahead, Jodi, you're on.
Well, yeah. I'm not sure how to answer that other than to say, yes, I do.
You do incredible voiceovers.
Thank you.
For you to be able to do voiceovers, you have to know intonations. You have to know everything about the message that you're delivering, because it's gonna grasp somebody in, right? Like think of when you look at a trailer at a movie, right? And it's that kind of, you want to go watch the movie. And I know that when you do your voiceovers, people want to buy the product or go to the movie or do whatever it is that you're doing. Tell us about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's a lot more than.
I know it's a lot
more than knowing the message. So the message is me relaying that information in a way that the writers and the producers heard it in their head. And beyond that, it's about me knowing my instrument. So I need to know how to get into the right mindset. I need to know who I'm talking to, because this is always a conversation. I need to know where I am supposed to be, because my theater of the mind needs to be top notch for me to get what they really want from that text that is in front of me. And then I have to make it sound natural. And that's the tough part. That's really where the acting comes in. That's why they call it voice acting.
Yes. Yeah. And Jaclyn, when we consider the power of voice, because you help so many people in different areas, but if you speak softly, are they going to listen? I did hear that.
There's so many, there's so many ways and intonations in our voice. And it's like you're thinking about, whether it's an adult or a child, screaming and yelling is not going to get what you want, but speaking super softly or speaking without command or an authority, if you need to get something across, it may show up as more being weak or not the authority. So your voice really matters. And I love thinking about in the LEAP framework that I talk about and that I work with, it's leveraging communication. And part of that communication is knowing how you actually speak and what you are saying to people and how you say something truly matters. It's it's crazy when you think, somebody could say something like, you could say, shut the door. Or you could say, shut the door. Or you could say, please, can you shut the door? All saying the same thing, but have or can be heard very differently. And so the person on the other end who's receiving it, you have to know a little bit about them. And as Jodi said, you have to know the audience, and you have to, know how they're also going to receive it. And as I'm talking, I'm just thinking about my husband and my son clash a ton because of it's communication. And I try to sit back and be like, you needed to change the way you said that. You needed to change the way you said that. And I'm like, both of you are saying the right and same thing, and you want to help each other, but you're speaking incorrectly to each other.
It's the message, even a text message can be read incorrectly. Right? So it's, and that's why I believe that sometimes picking up the phone.
So much better.
Hello?
Oh yeah, text can be so problematic.
Right.
I use a lot of emoticons in my texts, in my emails, because it may seem silly to people, but I want people to know that I'm saying something with a smile as opposed to, because it can come across pretty harsh.
Right.
Yeah. Even punctuation, right?
Right.
So
it's funny because sometimes you'll, if you've ever accidentally hit the caps lock on something and you just start typing, and next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, it's in all caps and I sent it. And you're like, no, I'm not screaming. I just actually accidentally had the all caps on and I just was typing.
Didn't realize it.
Just, think about that. Sometimes you don't think about it. I'm just typing, whatever. And it's true. And I share this with a lot of people, if you're making a sale or you're trying to get somebody's attention and you're really excited about it, to me, one of the best things you can do is pick up the phone or leave some kind of voice message somewhere. There's now 7,000 different ways where we can leave a voice message, whether it's, through iMessage or Facebook Messenger or whatever. But when people hear your voice and they hear your excitement or if it's something that's more that, if you're feeling sad or upset, it's so important for voice. And it's that the art of communication and the art of storytelling. We always talk about, storytelling in business, but it all starts with our voice and communicating. We need to learn and keep speaking so people can hear those.
Oh, yeah. One of my coaches always says the thing that I've believed my whole entire life is 5 touch points, right? Email, text, phone call, snail mail, and the most important one is in person. If you can accommodate that, and sometimes we do all 5 when I'm reaching out to customers, because maybe that's not their language. That's not how they like to communicate. And we're talking about, I don't know how that happened, but here we are with all of us. And I swear to God, I didn't touch anything.
Magic.
Maybe I was making a point and it just came in, right? And so when we consider that not everybody is going to understand the way we want to communicate, it's important for us to reach out to them, like I did with my great friend who is here now, Jose, and we communicate. And so happy you came in, buddy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It is the power of voice and success, and this gentleman is very knowledgeable on what that all means as well. So we're talking about the concept, and we'll ask you as well, Jose, what is your take on the power of a voice?
Power of a voice. First of all, I'm thankful to have my voice back because I just had the flu for 2.5 weeks. And right now I still have a lingering cough, and it's amazing. I think they say, the committee of they say that it takes about a week or two for the cough to go away. So if I'm hacking away during this live, you know why. But grateful to have a voice. In terms of the power of voice and success, I think in order to have success, you have to have a strong voice, not so much in the tonality or how loud you are, but in your ability to articulate your value to the marketplace, your ability to use your words wisely, your ability um, to verbalize your thoughts. What is this verbiage? I like your ability to influence, to impact, to lead. All of this goes back to your voice, right? And voice is not just a sound; it's what you say, how you say it, and all of the moving parts. So I think voice is absolutely critical, directly linked to success in both life and in business.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Love it. Ladies, you can inject anytime your thoughts, ideas, and all this because this is what open conversations about. And I love how you brought it about that the power of your voice is based on how you use it. But we're all given the same tools, every one of us. But some people are lacking in those tools because they're shy. They don't feel confidence. So all of these things can build up to being able to use your voice, confidence in everything. Also, a lot of times you'll notice that when somebody's lying, they'll look down, they'll look up, they'll look sideways. They will never look at you in the eyes.
Top corner. They look in the top corner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting about talking about the communication and learned or not learned, and we were talking a little bit about the art of communication, and one of the things that a little bit of a story. My son is 17, and I can talk to or walk up to anybody anytime, supermarket, standing in the deli counter, say hello, just to be pleasant and to be nice, and and maybe we can make somebody's day a little bit brighter. And over the years, my kids have learned a little bit more about that art of communication, and a lot of times people will say to me, Jaclyn, your son has a steady handshake, and he can actually look you in the eye when he's talking to you, and he actually can communicate. And I want to share this because I think it's really it was like a big pride moment, but it's really important in communication and speaking. My son was talking to me about a car, and we went into this car dealer the other day, and my son just took over walking in. He introduced himself to the salesperson, started asking questions about different cars, said, I want my mother to try this car, and started this. I literally was like, he started this conversation with 3 gentlemen. I literally just sat like out here watching and looking and watched this communication happening, and saw my son talking to this guy. They started talking about golf. Next thing I know, I mean, this beautiful exchange is happening. And I went back home and I thought, like, you just don't see that very often. And it's that art of communication and using our voices to speak and knowing that we need to communicate. And it's a dying art. We don't speak in 170 characters, right? Or whatever. We don't count those. So it's really amazing to see the power of it happening and showing to me, like, it's something that you can learn. It does take confidence to be able to use your voice properly, but it also takes repetition and seeing other people do it and practicing. And I was just like, oh, a big moment for my kid.
I love that story because it goes to show how you and your husband have raised them. So you guys are great parents. If we had taken your son and he grew up with different parents who were like, oh, he's shy, it's okay, he doesn't like to talk, or your son would never have been able to do that. So sometimes the learning environment is critical, and we have to expose our children to all different things. And it's okay for a child to be apprehensive when they first meet a person, but they need to learn to go from behind the parent's legs and say hi to somebody as long as the parent said so initially, because I deal with that consistently.
Right.
When I was at Jose's house, his kids were like, "Who's that guy?" But guess what? Later on, I was teaching them things. And Jose, have they asked about me?
Yes, they have. As a matter of fact, they keep bothering me about the group picture with our shirts. I said, it's coming. We're almost 100%. Just let us get healthier first.
But here's the thing, right? It's learning how to connect with different people through the way you speak to them. Because if I would have been that tall guy, because his kids were young, they still are young, and then if they would have been looking at that guy, and I always stayed up there, they would have been like, "Oh, we're gonna stay away." But I get down to their level so I can communicate at their level, and all of a sudden we build a little bit of trust. It was only a couple of hours, but then all of a sudden they were like, "We're having fun with this guy because he speaks our language." In comparison, because I do that, here's the crazy thing. I do that with kids because I have a kung fu school. I do that with kids. I start my classes. Sometimes I do an adult session. Then I'll go to little kids, 3 to 5 years old. Then I go to 8 to 9. Then I go to teens, and then I go adults. And that's all in one given day. So my pattern of conversation and teaching has to change. And like you both talked about earlier, according to my audience. Because I cannot talk the same way to the adults that I talk to the 5-year-olds, right?
I love what you're saying. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but the key thing is like one thing that, as we know, as leaders and people, in what we do, is that we have the power to teach people and see the potential in others and help them if they did not come from an environment, either like what I've done with my kids, or there's somebody in a workspace, and we see that potential. We can teach them, of course, if they want to be taught, how to be better communicators and break out of that shell.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Jose.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I also have a 17-year-old, and the older they get, if we're not careful and we're not monitoring, the more silent, the more reserved they get. Because they lack the confidence. They don't get the day-to-day practice of engaging with adults outside of their parents and their teachers, and so on and so forth. So it becomes like they get more reserved, almost like they start retreating from the family too. Like they want to be in their rooms, they want to watch their own show, they want to go hang out in the family room versus the living room, or whatever the case is, right? So, and I know this because I was a teenager, and I think we all understand this to some degree. So, most of my kids are young, so 17 down to 4 months. I have 6 kids, 3 boys, 3 girls. And one thing that I've been doing with my kids is my wife homeschools our children, right? Especially the middle ones, the young ones. And there's resident distractors that are too young to be homeschooled. So we basically have added a class where I'm like a teacher for Fridays. And it's a class of Business 101. I call it Business 101 just to make it fun, right? Because my youngest kids are always like, "Oh, are you gonna get on more calls today? How's business? Did you close a deal?" Like they just have all this verbiage that they're kind of picking up on. And so I said, I'm going to do Business 101 classes, Katie, with them. Every Friday I'll take them for a certain amount of time, and I'm going to teach them voice. I'm going to teach them communication, interpersonal skills. Look at people in the eye, shake your hand firmly. It's proper etiquette on a lot of things. The power of reading and the joy of reading. Different things of how to lead, what leadership is. How to influence, sales skills. Just persuasion. All these different things. I'm going to I'm going to continue to build upon this over time. So we just recently started this, but I'm going to continue to build over time. And I say that because the reality is, for example, the love of reading doesn't just show up one day. It's something that is harnessed over time. There's a famous quote, I don't know who said it, but they say children learn to love and become passionate about reading on the laps of their parents, right? So here in my house, we create this culture of a love for reading. You will not find a room in this house without a book in it, or books, should I say, right? Not to mention my office, as you can tell, but we have books in just about every room in the house. We do family reading time on Sundays where everybody gets a book and we all sit in the family room and we all read for an hour. And the kids who can't read just look at picture books and they just kind of go through it. I read books to my kids every day. So does my wife. And it's this thing. So, but I think the same thing applies when it comes to using our voice effectively. When it comes to communicating effectively, we have to teach that in our homes. We have to be an example of what that looks like. If we're in an environment where there's people, we can't just sit there in the corner and wait for people to come to us. We have to, like your son did, we got to extend our hand. We got to smile. We got to look at people in the eyes and shake their hands and get to know people and genuinely care. But we have to use our voice. It was given to us for a reason.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Jodi, you get paid to use your voice, right? And anybody who goes on a stage and is a public speaker or professional speaker get paid, but you get paid quite often
to interpret scripts that clients want to have make money for them. But it's about being authentic, and it's about understanding the musicality and the notes and the beats of a script as well. So when you were talking about books, Jose, I was thinking music, because when I was growing up, we had sing-along time, not story time. And that for me was foundational. That's where I learned to sing. It's where I learned how to use my voice. My sister did the same thing. My parents both are very musical. And it, for us, was the way that we communicated with the world. So music can also do that beyond reading, which is a great thing too. I definitely have a love for books, but yeah, music is foundational in my life, and in, I would hope, many lives.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When did your son start to become such a negotiator, Jaclyn?
Oh gosh, he's always been one to almost like, for lack of a better word, push buttons, right? Like, and ask questions. And I would say it really started when he would come home and he would talk about things that kids would say at school. And so I would kind of I'd coach him on, okay, we have to have things for you to say, and you need to have the confidence to talk and discuss. And one of the things that he did a speech and debate class, his freshman year, which was in high school, which was great. Highly recommend it. But I think over time, he's also seen, me reach out and talk to people and understand that you have the ability to meet people anywhere you go. And all you just need to do is say hello or smile, or, there's so many different ways. And so, I love to network. And so he also has learned that. And I think that's, he sees that happening. And again, it's, see something, do something. Oh, and now I can practice it. Now I can try and do it too. And over time, learning like what is the right way to have conversations? When is it the right time to talk? Yes, he's like a lot of other kids where sometimes he'd want to go hide in his room, but there are other times when he wants to come out and be part of the conversation, particularly when it's something that he's really passionate about. And I think that's also something that's really important is he knows when to speak about something because he'll go and study something that he's really passionate about. And if he doesn't know it, he will, and if he's interested, he'll go and research it.
Very interesting. I love we may have gone into a little bit of an area where the power of voice is influenced by our surroundings and our parents, if you will. I didn't have the luxury that all of you did, right? Because I didn't grow up with my parents fully. And for me, it was finding my own way. And through reading is where I found it, through making friends, through seeing how a people observer, seeing how other people were doing things and almost mimicking them, only the people that I wanted to mimic. Because think about it, right? As kids, most kids learn how to curse. I don't curse, but my kids, I've heard them curse. And I look at them, my kids are now 21 and 24. And I look at them, they're like, oh, sorry, Dad. Right? Because they know that instead of that curse word, if you use it once in a blue moon, I'm okay with that. But if it's a part of your language, that means that you didn't do enough research for yourself to understand that there's a better way to communicate what you want to say. And so when I hear somebody cursing, I go, is there a blue moon? Because it cuts to the chase. I get that. That's why cursing is there, to tell somebody to like F off, right? But could you be more eloquent? And because that person may need that language, but someone else watching you will think differently of you. And so for that reason, I don't curse, right? Don't get me wrong. Every so often I see a blue moon, right? Just like all of us. I'm not a saint by all means, but for me, when I'm around people who curse, I don't engage in it. Just like when I'm with friends who drink excessively, I don't engage in it because I've made the choices for me, right? And all of us here, we make choices we can have the power in our voice. Because I always say, you never know who's watching. And nowadays with AI and these instruments, forget it. Everybody's watching. By the way, that was a picture of me and Jose. It just popped up. So there you go.
I was going to say, you were just saying, the power of our voice, and it made me think of my client this morning and how we're saying things and being really, voice and how we say things comes across. And we were sharing this in terms of text messages. We have to be able to do things in a professional way and not, swearing or using swear words. There is such a better way to get a message across, I think, in a lot better way. Something that's also, it shows, the words we use will also show your level of professionalism or not. And I just actually was doing this and going through this with a client this morning. She has a major issue with her employer, and she wrote and I tried to bring her back and say, ranting is one thing, more meant for when you actually have a conversation, not in an email. Let's dial this back into something that's more professional, that's focused, pointed, and raises your level above the people that you're ranting about, so that you're seen here. And the way that we communicate, it really, it can give somebody an impression, good, bad, or ugly. And we hope that what we're saying is going to give people a great impression. It's like those 15 seconds to make a first impression. I think you have those same 15 seconds when you're writing something or saying something. People are going to make a decision or make an opinion. And using a swear word may cause somebody, as you just said, may look at you differently. And how do you want to be looked at, and how do you want to show up?
Well, I gotta say, I never put somebody down because they choose to curse. They may be super valuable in what they're communicating, but that's just their style. That doesn't put me off. I just understand who I am, right? The other thing that I want to share with everybody, when you write a text message or when you write an email or when you write a snail mail, anything that's written, before you send it, consider, what if it was read in court? What if it was read in court? So don't hit send because you're angry, because if it can cost you, right? And it can cost you friendships, it can cost you money, it can cost you so much things. Look at all the people that tweeted in the middle of the night or because they were drunk, and all of a sudden they have to backtrack and apologize. I didn't mean that. You wrote it. So there must be it must be in your mind.
I want to piggyback off of what you're saying because I 100% agree with that. First of all, when it comes to the cursing world, I also do not curse. I mean, have I said something here and there? Sure, I think I have. Probably more times than I should, right? But do I normally on a regular basis curse? No, it's just not part of what I do. Never in the house, never. I mean, again, it might have slipped out, after maybe too many beers at a Commanders game. Okay, so but it's very rare. It's very rare that you'll hear me curse. So let's just say that. But there is something to be said when it's a professional setting, when you're meeting somebody for the first time and you're in a networking event or you're at some kind of a seminar or boot camp, or you're maybe having a virtual coffee with somebody you're meeting for the first time or trying to get to know somebody, and they're dropping F-bombs on you, like in the process of their talking, it immediately gives me like a vibe, right? Like, I don't know if we are on the same synergy, if you will, right, or chemistry, because it's just not what I do, and that says a lot when somebody just met you and is already like dropping all kinds of verbiage. That is not something I normally do. It just says a lot that maybe we're not going to gel as smoothly as I would have liked. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do business with them or not talk to them or judge them for each their own, but I think it does leave an impression, right? And as was stated earlier, first impressions do matter. They go a long way. And to piggyback off of more what you said, Sifu, just now, yeah, it's amazing how if you send an email and then you send a voice note and then you send a video with your actual voice, the message lands way better when it's a video with your voice. And the message lands way better than an email or a text when it's a voice note, and so on and so forth. Because through email and text, it's amazing how so many people want to deliver a message, especially a message when it's a heated moment, right? If you're upset, you're angry, you're resentful, you're not in a good mood about something, or something landed or incorrectly or wrong, they immediately want to get behind a keyboard, whether it's their phone or their laptop or desktop, whatever it is, and send that upset email or send that upset text message. And a lot of times the exclamation marks that you put in your statement just come across as like disrespectful. Like, are you yelling at me? Like that kind of a thing, right? And some of the statements that you make may not come across as you want it to come across. So for me, when it comes to voice and communication, I always say, let things simmer. Pray on it, meditate on it, think about it, journal about it. Let the 24 hours go by before you respond to something out of emotion, because so many of us just brain vomit how we feel in a particular moment, and then we have to go back and clean up the mess and say, I didn't mean to say it, that's not what my intention was, but you said it. I mean, it came out of your mouth. I have it in writing what you said. But again, it's because we did it in the moment. So I think it's important to pause, kind of like stop, drop, and roll. We got to pause, give it some time, let the smoke settle, and then you send a message that is well thought out, that is worded properly, that has I'm seeking to understand kind of vibe versus how dare you do this, this, and this, and this. Right? Like it's very, very different. And it's amazing how confident people get behind a keyboard, right? But they're not very confident when it comes to face or in person or in video format, right? So it's super important when you're communicating something that you're not happy about. You communicate it, the platinum rule. The platinum rule is greater than the golden rule. The golden rule is treat others the way you want to be treated. The platinum rule is treat others the way they want to be treated, right? So consider the platinum rule before you deliver a message. How does this person want to be treated, right? Number one. Number two, always give respect, even in cases where somebody doesn't deserve it. And because it speaks to your character and it speaks to your standards of how you show up in life. Number three, don't use words that are going to degrade or defame or make them, feel like defensive. Number four, no particular, I'm just, spitting out what's coming to my mind. No, it's not a framework I'm giving you, by the way. Number four is understanding that we have to seek to understand versus pointing fingers at you're wrong. And this is so Sifu Rafael, listen, I'm just seeking to understand. The other day you said this. Is that really what you meant? I'm just seeking to understand. So that comes across way better than, what, Sifu Rafael, you need to watch your mouth because the other day you said this to me and that is so disrespectful. I have no idea why you would even say that. Do you know who you're talking to? Like that kind of a thing, right? So it's just delivery is super important. And I think if we're cautious and we care and we treat people with the platinum rule, we can get way further in communication. We can actually maintain friendships. We can agree to disagree. We can achieve more together if we just have that level, the foundational level of respect with the right choice of words and thinking things through before we just act out of emotion.
So a lot of times when somebody says something to me, I'll say, can you send me that? Because now maybe they said it one way, and when they write it out, they're like, wait a minute, did I really say that? Or should I change it now? And it's okay if they change it because now they've had time to process it as well. So I think what we're talking about here is success, right? When we can command ourselves before we can't listen. I can't control what you're going to say next, right? Jodi, go.
I think part of this for me also, I'm kind of taking a step back from the micro that we're in right now, and I'm thinking of authenticity. So when you were talking about swearing, I don't do it a whole lot myself, and I don't generally hang out with a bunch of people who do. But that said, if that's that person's style, I'm not their person, but there might be their people out there. I'm not going to say that they shouldn't have their people. So, I mean, I think part of the thing that we forget about marketing and about presenting your voice as your brand is that you're going to attract some people and you're going to repel others. And there is absolutely nothing with repelling. That just means you're finding more of the people who get you than and pushing away the people who don't. So that is part of what your voice conveys.
Love that. Love that.
Excellent.
Why don't we take a tiny little break and take a look at this?
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
I think I know that guy. When when we enter a room, there's always one person, unless it's you, who is commanding the attention of most. What do you think if it's not you and you walk in and you're seeing that person? What do you see about them? And we're talking voice, inflection, and maybe even gestures of the way they're standing or sitting.
You're talking about when somebody first walks in a room, what do you look at?
If I walked in and you three were talking, and you had 30 other people, and maybe the three of you were commanding the room, what would be the things that I would be looking for, should be looking for?
Very quickly, I can tell you for me, and I think we'll all differ here because everybody has their own things, right? But for me, immediately when somebody walks in a room, let's say I'm at a networking event, which I'm doing this Tuesday, right here and in Only. So let's say people start walking in a room and I don't know the person. The first things I look at immediately that I just gravitate to naturally because I'm meeting people all the time, right? And I also am cognizant of my own way of how I show up in a room, right? Number one is I determine, is this the person who, when they walk in a room, people know they're there? Or is this the person that when they leave the room, nobody even knew that they were there the whole time, right? Do they command a presence? Does this person have a presence when they walk in the room? And the presence usually is felt, no particular order again, in the way they're dressed. You know, are they walking into a room to network or to in a seminar or wherever they are they dressed appropriately for the occasion? Or are they wearing a hoodie and jeans and, flip-flops? For example, I'm giving you an extreme example, but you get my point. Are they dressed for the occasion? Do they look good? Do they smell good? Do they sound good? Very, very important, right? So I look at the way they walk. The way somebody walks speaks loudly. Sometimes people drag their feet. They move really slow. They might walk for 2 feet in the room and then they stand and immediately pick a spot to kind of post up, versus walking further. The pace of their walk matters, right? Does this person have something that's unique to them that makes them stand out? Are they wearing gold shoes, for example, which is what I do a lot of times? Do they have some bright orange glasses that make them stand out? Do they have something unique to them that makes people wonder, what is that about? Right? That matters too, because it speaks to who they are and how they carry themselves. And then, of course, when they're walking in a room, do they immediately start shaking hands? Do they immediately smile? Or do they have a face that looks like they're completely unhappy? And I always joke around that naturally, I'm a very serious person. And if I have my normal face, I look angry. So I have to force myself to look happy. Otherwise, people think I'm just not approachable. So I got to inform my face that I'm happy a lot of times, because I just will let it sit in its resting spot, and its resting spot looks kind of like this. And nobody wants to approach this frown up here and somebody with their arms crossed, especially with a few tattoos. Nobody wants to do that, right? So I already know that I have to smile, I have to walk with a faster pace, I have to have good posture, I have to be well dressed, I gotta smell good and welcoming, I gotta make sure my breath smells good, I gotta make sure that I'm dressed for the occasion, I gotta make sure I'm looking at people in the eye and shaking hands firmly and smiling and having conversation, and I look open, not closed, and I'm just ready to engage. And you can tell when somebody like that, a leader, walks in a room, because a leader demands presence and commands presence in the room. So you can tell influence, leadership, authority. When it walks in the room, it's there.
Appreciate that. You took it to the other version. So what I meant is you walk in and somebody's already commanding the room. So, Jodi, I'd love to hear your thoughts on either way. Now we have two versions.
Yeah. It was. I definitely agree with Jose that those are a lot of the characteristics that would attract people to be attracted to that person. I totally get that. For me, it's how that person pays attention to other people. So I want to see confidence, but I also want to see kindness. That for me is a draw. And it's not all about them. It's about them listening to other people and having a conversation as opposed to talking at people. That I find really important.
I agree.
You
What do you
said
think?
you said that when somebody walks in a room with that authority and that kind of way, how do I react to that? Is that what you're saying? Was that your question?
Me, or are you talking about me? I was suggesting that the person who has people around them paying attention to them,
Yeah.
I want to know if that person, I probably wouldn't approach that person if that person was talking at people and not listening.
Right. No, I get what you're saying, and I love what you said, and I agree with what you said. I'm just trying to reiterate or get more clarity on your question originally, Sifu. You said,
Oh, okay.
no, but I completely agree with what you're saying, Jodi, because people have to be outside of authority and confidence, all that. They have to be welcoming. They have to be friendly. They have to be more in tune about caring about the other person more than how they're perceived. I
Well,
agree.
yeah, networking isn't about getting your message across necessarily. It's about you having a conversation with people.
Absolutely.
And if you're not having a conversation, you're not networking.
Right.
I have seen that many a times where people are talking down because they put themselves, or even the crowd put them on a pedestal. And then all of a sudden, because the crowd put them on a pedestal, they're like, well, I'm just going to talk down to you because I'm on a pedestal. I got to talk down. But so now that you brought your, and I love what you did, Jose. You talked about how you would walk into a room because it makes a difference, or how somebody else would walk into a room who doesn't have the confidence you do. But now if you're walking into the room and you see somebody who is commanding the attention of others, what are we looking for as well? Jaclyn, would you mind?
I think when we're walking in and we're seeing somebody who's commanding attention, if I want to go up to that person and I walk up to them, a lot of times it's foot position too, right? Like, are their feet directed in? Is there one kind of out? Are they a welcoming person? And if they are commanding attention, I like to look and see like what their energy is. Like, what's the energy that they're bringing into the room? And we all have our own amount of energy that comes in. So if we want to be like that person, we need to raise our energy and be that person who's going to be opening. And if I'm really interested in that person, I'm going to go up to them and say hello. If I walk up to them and I say hello and introduce myself, and it's, it can go one of two ways, right? It's either going to go great where they're going to be super welcoming, or it's going to be like, why is this person getting so much attention when they don't seem to be as welcoming? Right. But I need to take that step if I want to go in and have that courage to go up to that person who's commanding the attention. And, and it's so true. I truly believe, like, what Jodi and Jose were just saying, it's, the energy that we're coming in, how we show up, the presence that we personally have, the presence that they have, how are they standing? It all really matters. And it also really matters what baggage, are we bringing in with us or not? And I always say I coach, my clients to basically have an action to help them leave the baggage outside of the room that they're walking into. There's some kind of, it could be leaving your jacket in the car. It could be going into the bathroom and doing, like a, major dance or listening to some music to create the energy that you want. But whatever it is, whatever happened before that moment, before you walk into that room, whatever happened in your day, good, bad, or whatever, leave it outside. And show up with the right energy. And then so that when you go to see that great person who's commanding the presence that you really want to meet, that you're going to do it with, you're going to match the energy.
I love what you're saying. I think there's not so much a healthy balance. I think it has to be more towards you're interested versus being interesting. right? Being interesting is great, and that's important, I think, when you're in a room with a lot of people, especially if you're trying to make a first impression and you're trying to connect. But it's also more important to be interested, genuinely interested in the other person, and seeing how you can add value to them and how you can serve them, because only then are you going to become interesting at a higher level, right? Because you can be superficially interesting, but you only become more interesting when, sorry for the kids screaming in the background, but you can only become more interesting when you show a genuine interest. And there's a difference between networking, giving out business cards and having quick, conversations, and building relationships.
Yeah.
And building relationships is really where it's at. That's where things happen. Exchanging business cards, frankly, I'll probably never look at it again. It's like, did I really find you interesting? Did I feel you were very interested? And is this a relationship that I want to pursue to the next level? And if you did everything right, then the answer usually is yes.
Curiosity will take you far. It really will. And active listening.
Yeah.
The two of them together. I mean, I had to learn that when I started doing a podcast, because if you're discussing things with people like we are right now, you have to have that natural curiosity, and you have to listen to what's being said around you and respond to it. And the better you get at that, the more interesting the conversation is.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
agree.
I
Go ahead, Jen.
was going to say, I wanted to share something. So a couple days ago, I was at a networking event, and I am always amazed by how many people do the following, which I am one person who tries really hard not to, which is, hi, my name is Jaclyn. What do you do? Right? I don't want to know exactly what you do. I want to know about you first. So we were at a pizza place where there was a big networking, and somebody asked me what I they're like, hey, my name is blah blah blah. What do you do? And I said, oh, my name is Jaclyn. Let me ask you a question. Do you like pepperoni pizza, or are you a cheese pizza lover? And I totally just kind of like skipped the question, didn't tell them what I did, because I want to know something about them. You have to, I always try to think of, people have the different plans or, thoughts about it, but like, what are the 5 things you could either ask or know or learn about somebody else before you talk to them about their business or what they do? Because if I get to know you a little bit better, I might be like, oh, I might be like, Jodi's up in Canada, and I know that there are certain people there. I could be like, oh, I know somebody in Canada too. Like, it's super small, right? Right. But you start creating these, I start thinking about what the people are saying and how I can start to make connections for them, like out of people that I know. I heard somebody speak the other day, and she does a donor event, and I all of a sudden I kept thinking, ooh, I want to connect her with my friend who does kidney donations in Ohio. But it wasn't about just what she did. It's like, I want to know more about the person and how we can make deeper connections, and then maybe I want to get to know about what they do.
That sounds very similar to the form method. Back when I was in Amway, when I was 18 years old, I learned a lot about, business and motivation and stuff like that. I kind of grew up in that environment, and they had what's called the form method, FORM, family, occupation, recreation, message.
Yeah.
Most people open up with the message and they forget about trying to get to know you.
Yes. Right. It is that form method. It's like one of those things, I guess it's been ingrained in my head. I think, my parents were in sales, and I've done direct sales. And so it's like, when you start doing it young, or you see it young, you understand that it's so important to get to know people, like get to know about their family, get to know about what they like. And then you get to figure out how then there's the message, right?
For example, you earlier spoke, Jaclyn, about body language, how their feet are and so forth. I was at an event, and somebody I just met the day before was talking to a celebrity. And I'm like, I want to get to know that celebrity. because they have an interesting thing, right? And I kind of walked by, but I saw his foot was out, right? So I knew that he was open. And I didn't want to interrupt, but I knew that he knew how to engage. So I kind of walked near them and kind of did that and kept walking. He goes, "Hey, Rafael, come over here." And he grabs me. He goes, "Let me introduce you." So because I did not interrupt, right? Because I knew that he was open to engaging with others as well. He wasn't, his feet weren't closed. So that means that's all his focus was on her. All her focus was on him. They actually both had their feet, one of them open. So that sometimes could be like, oh man, I can't wait to get out of this conversation. Or they were open to allow somebody else in. So his feet were open and he wanted to keep talking to her, but he was open to me coming in. And sometimes if you're engaging with a person and your feet are closed up like this, but you see somebody else and you want to bring them into conversation, the simple thing that you could do is just open your foot out. And that, if the other person understands anything, they'll know, oh, I can come by. So it's that power that we can, not only with our voice, because our voice has a lot of power, but the way we use our body language. And that was why the question was initially, what are you looking for when you walk into a room and there's somebody is holding an audience, if you will? That's why I asked. I know Jose has a question, I could tell.
I don't have a question. I was on mute, but no, this has been a very interesting conversation for sure in a lot of different ways. I think it's only appropriate to put a bow on today's conversation, talking about leaping to your success, because as I was because we talked a lot about voice and communication, all those things, and I love the key word is leap, right? Because you can walk towards your success, you can skip, you can tiptoe your way to success, or you can leap. And I love leaping. I love leaping. I love the exponential growth. I love supernatural growth. I love the breakthroughs, right? The S curve, where it just gets massive, right? So that's what I love, leaping to success. So I'm just going to open it up by saying leaping to success for me is really where the rubber meets the road. Because if you're going to do something, do it well. And if you're going to be all in, if you're going to be in something, then be all in on something. Don't have one foot in, one foot out. Don't tiptoe with it. Don't poke it with a stick and say, let's see what happens here. No, you're either going to do it and you're going to be fully committed or you're not. Right. So when I do something, I'm either all in or I'm all out. And I think that's important. And I think commitment, I think the ability to have mental toughness, I think the ability to have a strong discipline, I think the ability to be consistent, and many other factors, but those are some of the most important factors, I think, is what allows people to say, you know what, and to be decisive, because inaction holds people in mental constipation and they end up doing nothing. And then they throw their way to success. So I think just being clear, if I ever do something, I'm either a hell yeah or I'm an automatic no, right? But I move quick. Chapter 8, Think and Grow Rich decision. It's important to be a strong executive decision maker and to be able to move aggressively and to move well in whatever it is that you do. And if you do it, then do it to the best of your ability. And the reality is our ability is good enough. But as long as we're following the Kaizen philosophy, 1% better every day, then at that point it's good enough, because tomorrow we'll be better off. But that's my 2 cents on leaping to success. I would love to hear from you guys before we close out.
I'm going to just say that the other day I went swimming and I only got 1 foot wet. No, of course not. If you go swimming, you get the whole body wet. And I listen, I love people that go swimming and they come out, but this is all dry, right? To me, that's not swimming. You didn't get in the pool. So I'm very much like you, Jose. When I believe in something, I'm 2 feet in, I'm at the deep end, and guess what? It's okay if it gets deeper. I'm going to go deeper. See, somebody agreed with me. Thank you. Go ahead, Jodi. And then Jaclyn, you tap it off because it's your leap to success.
Yeah, definitely. Part of that what leap to success means to me is greeting the future with joy. So, leap, yes, it's like a distance, yeah, but it's also joyful. It's also, you're not just jumping. You're, there's a specific meaning to me when the word leap comes into it, and that is almost a dancing with joy kind of thought. And so, yeah, just being, like you said, Jose, being all in, Sifu, yeah, and greeting whatever that is with joyful intent.
Love it. Love it. Jaclyn, you're up, but we're going to make it short because we're at the top of the hour, my dear.
Yeah. So leap for me, it's when you leap, you have to take 2 steps. You cannot leap with one. And if one is hopping, right? So taking those 2 steps to leap, and leap is actually a framework. It's leveraging your communication, it's your energy, it's your action, and it's your performance and to propel you forward. And so when we can do that and we can take those 2 steps to make that leap, we're on our way.
Love it. Love it.
Excellent.
Well, at this point, what we want to do is, because we are ending the show, I'd love to give you each 30 to 45 seconds to promote your website and so forth. Jodi, we're going to let you go second because I already have it up for Jaclyn, and we are leaping to success. So go for it, Jodi. I mean, Jaclyn. Both with J's. That's just throwing me off, right?
Right. Look at that. Well, Sifu, you need to change your name and start it with the J, right, for today.
There you go. All 3 of you have J's to start.
Right. So
I'm going to be Bonsoir.
right. So leap to your success. I would like people to come to my website, leaptoyoursuccess.com, and actually get a fast track strategy session. You can get a vision and mission book. It's right when you get to my website. You can go to publications, but grab it. I truly want to help people leap to their greatest success and figure out what are those 2 steps that you need to take to start that leaping process for you. And again, just go to the website. It's leaptoyoursuccess.com and grab some time with me, please. I would love it. It's free, complimentary.
Yes, love it, love it. All right, Jodi, you're up.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me here today, Sifu and Jose. This has been a lot of fun, first of all. And second of all, if people want to check out what I do voiceover wise, you're welcome to drop by my website. It's at voiceoversandvocals.com. I lend my voice to any product service out there that needs or thinks that my voice would match with their audio brand. So I talk a lot about how sound influences our buying decisions in our daily lives. And my podcast has been going about 5 years now. It's an award-winning podcast. It's won a Sovus Award, which is the voice actors kind of Oscars. And so I love talking about how sound influences everything we do. And voice definitely does that. And if someone thinks my voice could help them, that would be great. I am putting it out into the universe that I am looking to work more with some travel and tourism clients. I have a couple of them, but I really would love to do more work in that industry. So if anyone has a need for that, they can reach out.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here, both of you with us. Jose, would you mind?
I would not mind. So first of all, great show today. Thank you both, all 3 of you, for being here, especially Jaclyn and Jodi. You guys are amazing. Thank you. In terms of myself, CEO, founder of Connected Leaders Academy, as you saw the mini commercial, a little outdated, but the latest is that we are a growing tribe, a community of some of the highest level entrepreneurs all around the world. We have over 468 members in 46 states across the US and 25 countries. And it's just a great hub, a family, a community, a tribe where you can come to learn and grow as an entrepreneur, as we all are. You can build your network, your circle. Of course, get on more podcasts if you're a podcaster or just want to get on more podcasts. Find guests for your shows as well. Speak on more stages if you're a speaker. Leads, referrals, collaborations, endorsements, more clients, more money, the bottom line. Anybody who's interested in learning more about the Connected Leaders Academy, assuming you're a business owner or entrepreneur, just check out my website, www.connectedleadersacademy.com, and schedule a call with me.
Love it. Love it. And I am a member. So I'm Sifu Rafael, and you can easily connect with me at sifurafael.com. It could make it easier for you. And if you want to reach me, it's Sifu at sifurafael.com. Here's the thing. Communication, one of the things we've been talking about today is how do we communicate? And my job is to help everybody elevate their communication skills to a level you never knew you could. So let's take your voice and make it way better than you ever thought it could be. Thank you, everybody. What a blessing. Thank you. Have yourself an amazing rest of this Friday. I am blessed to know you all. I really am. Thank you. All right,
Thank you.
everybody. Take care.